Welcome to Roll for Crit. There's a whole bunch of new expansions this week. We are covering all of them and more on this week's new releases for June 24th, 2019.
As stated, we have a lot of expansions being released this week. We've got Captain Sonar, Operation Dragon, which actually adds a campaign to the Captain Sonar game. So if you got a large group that really does want to do a campaign, maybe this will be your pick. We've also got Codenames Duet XXL, for those who just don't have enough code names. We've got Descent Lost Legends, which adds a whole new layer of customizability to your Descent. And we've got the D&D Acquisitions Incorporated, which is based on the Penny Arcade D&D run Acquisitions Incorporated. But there's the Target exclusive D&D Essentials Kit, which is pretty much like a new starter kit, which also allows for the two-player 1v1 style, so you can get into D&D even if you do not have a large group to play with. There's also actually a new game, Imperial Settlers Roll and Write, to hop on that roll and write train that's been going around, except this time with Imperial Settlers. And we'll end my segment with Enos Seasons of Enos, which actually adds a 5th player, new territories, and a new season wheel, so you can have whole new ways to reach that nice win condition.
Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell is getting its own board game this week based on the book series, a book that I have never personally read but have an interest in because it shares a name with me. Continuing on that roll and write train, there's a new edition of Lanterns called Lanterns Dice Lights in the Sky, which is a roll and write version of the game where you're coloring in little pieces on your board and covering them up with fireworks tiles to score points. The Princess Bride now has a role-playing game based on the movie. You can play as characters from the movie or invent your own for role-playing adventures in that universe. Sorcerer is a new game from White Wizard Games, which was a Kickstarter, and from some of the same people who are behind games like Star Realms. This is a game where you're all sorcerers competing to gain area control and fight each other with spells and minions and rolling dice, all that kind of stuff. Versus has a new pack, another Children of the Atom set. This one is called Resistance, and it's got more X-Men in there for you, including Gambit, some other fan favorites as well. And then there's a couple of brand new LCG packs for your Fantasy Flight LCG needs. A Game of Thrones has Pit of Snakes, and Legend of the Five Rings has For the Empire. So you can continue your collections with those titles.
So a lot of expansions, but before we talk about them, I want to talk about the few standalones that released. Some cool roll and writes. In particular, I know Imperial Settlers, both of us are very excited to get our hands and try that out.
Yeah, that one has some cool stuff going on with it because it has a competitive mode, but also a solo mode. And it sounds like it gets very different from most roll and writes because there is almost a campaign style aspect to it. And you play through and things change and evolve. It's not just a one and done game. So, and of course, we love Imperial Settlers, so that's pretty exciting.
And for RPG fans, I think there's some really solid picks out there for old and new. I mean, the Acquisitions Incorporated and Princess Bride, I think two things have huge cult followings, so you'll be able to play along with those characters. But that Target thing, the idea of just, I think we said in a video before when we talked about it, just to have the 1v1 rules, I think can be really helpful because maybe you do have that one friend who hasn't played RPGs and wants to get in, but this way you can sort of be their GM and walk them along so they have an idea before you throw them in with the wolves.
Yeah, it sounds neat. We should also clarify, you just keep saying 1v1, but you're not actually fighting each other.
In other words, a 2-player where usually when you think of role-playing, it's usually a big
group. You can just have one person on each side. The game Sorcerer sounded interesting. It wasn't on my radar, but we like Star Realms, and it sounds like it takes kind of some of those same cues. I've heard it compared to Mage Wars a little bit as well. Even Smash Up, I think it kind of sounds a little bit like. So that's interesting. Yeah, and of course always more stuff for Descent and every other game. Captain Sonar one is interesting. I don't know if our group could stand together long enough for mentally and physically keep it together for a full campaign of that game. It tends to get us heated, involved, stressed.
Oh man. man, especially when people are arguing about the drawing of the lines. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's real time.
and also, let's just throw in the fact, how many campaigns and legacy games do we have going on right now?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But maybe that's something you're looking for. Let us know what you're buying this week. There's a lot of good options to expand your games. And just so you know, this is the final week, really the last few days, that we're running our current contest to win some King of Tokyo games in honor of the new Godzilla movie, whether you liked it or not. So you can go to rollforcrit.com/contest to enter that in its final days.
And of course, if you have anything else to say, leave them in the comments down below, or Instagram, Facebook, in the new Roll for Crit expansion coming out sometime later in 10 years from whenever you ask. So we will read them, and actually there should be somewhat soon, depending on the schedule, a viewer comment, so hurry up with those comments.
Yeah, hurry up. Until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
This is Roll for Crit.
Never miss out by liking and subscribing, and you can also check out more on our Patreon.
We do weekly podcasts on Patreon. Don't you want to sign up and hear more of our voices?